DAOs aren't people, crypto lawyers tell a California court hearing the CFTC case against Ooki DAO, friend to the court LeXpunK Army, filing an amicus brief saying that the CFTC should serve the people it believes are responsible for Ooki DAO's alleged violations rather than the DAO itself. All right, joining us now to discuss is Jess Sloss. He's the co-founder of Seed Club, a DAO Accelerator Network. Welcome, Jess. So, I mean, this is a fascinating case. So these two founders, Tom Bean and Kyle Kistner, they create B0X company, and they transfer the operations to Ooki DAO. Now, the CFTC is saying that they were offering illicit products without registering or know your customer KYC and such operations, and they want to serve them on a public forum or a health bot. So now this new group is saying, well, you can't serve a DAO. They're not people. And I would love to hear your reaction to this bit of development.
Yeah, I mean, I think DAOs suffer from the same challenges that all crypto projects suffer from, which is a lack of clarity on regulation. Obviously, there are some things that are maybe more risky to do than others, or maybe outright illegal. But I think casting all DAOs with that light is problematic. And I think as someone who has the privilege of supporting early stage DAOs on a regular basis, what we're looking for is clarity around regulations. And unfortunately, the way the CFTC and the SEC are approaching this right now is not around providing a pathway for builders to actually build these exciting new types of organizations that are creating tons of opportunities.
Are DAOs people?
No, DAOs aren't people. DAOs are made up of people. They're made up of smart contracts. The DAO is a network, and it, in many cases, performs much like Bitcoin or Ethereum, maybe with more human beings involved. But and of course, people in those organizations can do things that are probably not right or legal as well. But I think it's a challenging thing for anybody who voted on an Ooki DAO proposal to all of a sudden be seen as a core team or responsible for what's happened there. I think is a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, they're arguing that the people within the DAO should actually be the ones served. There should be proper service, and interesting case being developed there. But you run Seed Club, which is an internet native accelerator. So maybe you could tell us a bit about your mission there.
Sure. So we see internet native organizations as a new exciting opportunity. It's sort of the evolution of startups, as these are organizations where ownership and revenue and governance are all decided on chain rather than in your traditional legal system. And so we're seeing all sorts of exciting new projects from teams that are trying to go buy the Constitution or buy an NBA sports franchise to rewriting the rules of the music industry. So our job at Seed Club is to help support them in defining both the legal, token economics, community management, building, et cetera. And we are a DAO ourselves, and so have a community of 8,000 or so people who are there to support teams at their earliest stages.
All right, so your topic here at the I.D.E.A.S conference by CoinDesk is the return on investment of DAOs. So maybe you can explain and preview for us a little bit about what you'll be talking about.
Yeah, that's great. So I think the case I'm trying to make here is that DAOs are a new emerging asset class, still very early in their development, and that probably the only way to fully appreciate and experience and even get the upside in those DAOs is through participating in some way. So it's the big shift here from maybe folks who are used to allocating capital into funds or allocating capital directly into startups where that action is taken and then you're maybe sort of stepping away. DAOs are looking for deep participation, collaboration, and so folks who are going to have the best advantage here are ones who are willing to sort of step into the murky depths of existing DAOs, and there's no shortage of opportunities, both from the exciting teams that we get to back, but also a number of others that are building interesting tools, building communities that are being represented as DAOs. So the idea of subcultures having their own token, whether that's an NFT or a fungible token, and all the new opportunities that come from a subculture with an institution and with their own asset. So we're on the front edges of sort of exploring what that is. It's still very early, but there's a lot of really exciting indicators pointing towards opportunity.
Okay, so some of the criticisms of DAOs is that they can be kind of clunky, especially when it comes to the governance proposals. You have a big group of people; they're all, sending in their vote, and so maybe you can explain to me, what would be a good application of a DAO? Describe to me a success case.
Yeah, so I think the idea that consensus-driven product development or that everybody's going to participate in governance, I mean, we just look at traditional governance in our in the United States, right?
Our own democracy.
Exactly, right? It's very low. And so I think what DAOs are good at is sort of pooling capital, being able to have a big mission. We call it a call to adventure. So that's getting people interested. Where they sort of fall down is thinking that if everything needs to get put through a governance vote or everybody needs to have a say in everything. So we're seeing teams that are really doing a good job at building structure and clarity around how members can participate. We're seeing the most successful DAOs allocate capital to smaller teams who are actually coordinating and doing the development there. And so I think thinking about DAOs as capital accumulators and distributors, and that these sort of smaller working groups or teams or even other companies are actually executing on it. So I talk a lot about Nouns DAO in my presentation, or ENS. These are both products or NFT-driven DAOs that are able to generate meaningful revenue. They have growing treasuries, and they spend those treasuries on either furthering the meme or building product, and have sort of a way of engaging these large numbers of people, tens of thousands of people, in supporting the growth of their mission.
So another criticism brought up by SEC Chair Gary Gensler is that these DAOs may not be that decentralized at all, that it's kind of a cover for a company, a person or two, a small group of people that are basically hiding under this veil of decentralization. So, I'd love to hear you comment on that.
Yeah, I think there's a number of ways DAOs are structured. I think the idea that there's sort of this central network that does something basic, whether that is with the founder's involvement or not, I think is the core thing that we'd like to see in DAOs. And so this idea of being able to buy a token that represents a vote, that contributes capital to a treasury, and then gives an individual or many individuals the opportunity to have a say over how that capital is spent, I think is very clearly decentralized. And if that capital is spent to or distributed to smaller teams that are then executing, maybe they have a corporate structure there. So it really depends on what layer we're talking about here. There are obviously centralized companies that are launching tokens and trying to be DAOs, but I think the most interesting use cases are ones that are really trying to lean into that decentralized, maybe less so autonomous, but definitely organization.
We have just 30 seconds. Just want to ask you one last question, but you're also a partner at Seed Club Ventures, which is a $25 million venture DAO. So where are you putting your investments? What do you think is the greatest opportunity right now for DAOs?
The most exciting opportunity is actually backing the DAOs that are building at the edges of their own category, identifying the missing pieces, the tools that are missing, and are actually equipped to go build those tools. So we're seeing hundreds of millions of dollars worth of value get built by product teams in these DAOs, and for those product teams to spin out and to sort of be like the leaders in that space. So we can look at Gnosis Safe, we can look at Coordinate. These are all building financial tools there. So DAOs have the most understanding of the problems. They're probably going to be the ones providing solutions. Unlike traditional startups where you maybe are backing tools that are actually serving DAOs, we think DAOs are the most exciting opportunity.